You're about to hear a dark, speculative fiction story, atmospheric, emotional, and quietly unsettling. Please note, this story contains themes of mental strain, emotional distress, and sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. If you enjoy immersive, voiceover-driven fiction, take a second to like this video or subscribe. It helps these stories reach more people. Now, take a breath and step into Echoes of the Watcher. In the neonatal intensive care unit at Mercy Hospital, next to baby Olive's incubator, a young guardian angel stood, chewing his nails until they bled. In human terms, Azil appeared to be a 14-year-old boy, but he was a newborn with antiseptic as his first sniff. Yet a tremendous task burdened Azil. He existed to protect Olive. Their lives intertwined and stood against poor odds. Baby Olive scrunched her face and sucked on her fist. She was red and wrinkly. Not cute at all. She almost resembled an old shrunken man, yet delicate and fragile. She wore an oversized diaper. Tubes connected her to a machine with displays too difficult to understand. Anxiety gnawed at his gut. Even with the knowledge of the modern world imprinted in his subconscious, Azil's hands were tied. He whispered prayers into his sweaty palms, non-stop and repetitive invocations. Another angel manifested in the middle of the room, his wings behind him shriveled into bones. His lips curved down and his eyes were bloodshot with dark halos underneath. Stubble covered his chin and cheeks. The stranger treaded toward Olive's cot, but Azil threw himself in front of the older spirit and puffed up his wing to look sturdier. Thickening his high-pitched adolescent voice, Azil asked, "You?" In retrospect, you made little sense as a question, but Azil coughed to calm the tickle in his throat, raised his chin, and pretended he had a commanding presence. He doubled down. "You?"
"I'm Abby, her mother's guard."
"Yeah, hi," Azil said, still blocking Abby's way. He needed to know more about the situation before allowing the ragged-looking angel anywhere near Olive. A guard's duty didn't extend to the offspring of his ward, and even if angels were forbidden from harming humans, caution was necessary. The stranger sidestepped him and gazed at Olive, his eyes welling with tears before he wiped his face.
"For so long, I had a foreboding feeling in my gut, and an angel's intuition is never wrong. I kept May from having a child for many years, whispered so many warnings in her ears, but you can't always protect them. From their world and from themselves. The darkling demon snuck past me."
Azil shrank. "What's the darkling demon?"
"He preys on their mind, turns them against themselves and their interests. He's always there when you're not around. Whether it's morning or night, once he sets his mark, he never stops."
Beneath him, Azil's legs felt like jelly. Fear upon fear dawned on him. But Olive is too young. She wouldn't understand him.
"She's too young, for now."
Azil gulped. "How can I stop him?" The older angel studied Azil, gaze glossing over the boy's small stature and infantile features.
"Understandably, you're still naive. I too remember my birthday, when I had all the hope of an optimistic angel. I thought I'd make May the best in the human spectrum, protect her till she hunched over a cane. Last week, she turned 35.
The angel took a deep breath and glanced down at his vanishing hand. His wings shed the few remaining feathers until only bone and tender skin remained. Tuft rained down the room and faded. "Oh no, you're dying," Azil said, and covered his mouth at the realization that Olive's mother was in a hospital bed, vanishing from this plane as well. And while shame bubbled in his gut at his next thought, He obsessed about it. What were Olive's chances at survival without a mother?
We are companions, nothing more. We can't change their fate. The best we can do is pray. I must go now. We need to be together in our last moments.
The air shifted as the angel vanished. Silence took over, the beeps in the background rhythmic and deafening. The walls of the unit closed in on Azil as he sweated through his white caftan, dizzy. For 3 weeks, Azil lived in NICU, with one hand always on his heart. On the day Olive left the hospital, nestled in her grandmother's arms, Azil almost skipped in the sterile corridors. Over the following years, he would dote over her pink bundle and scream in frustration at her caretakers, despite their deaf ears. It frustrated him. Sometimes he resorted to drastic measures to make his point. One nanny spent half the day on her phone as Olive cried her eyes out. For 2 months before she quit, Azil saved his energy all morning so he could slam doors mysteriously at night and tug her blanket off while she slept. Life was tough. Olive's father loved her, but his incompetence negated his goodwill. He would toss her up in the air and catch her on the way down. Absolutely mad. Poor Olive would giggle from anxiety. Mad! Azil had to hold her and fly just a tad too, so he'd be in control of the movement without imposing on the human spectrum. Angel wings were not designed for short flight, and so he had cramps every time. Not to mention, any angel who saw Azil's stunt would give him an earful. You're not supposed to intervene, they'd say. But why was he a guardian angel then? To watch her from the sidelines as she splattered on the floor, breaking her delicate bones. They were mad, useless, lazy. Let their wards die and suffer. He would never allow anything bad to happen to his Olive. When Olive was 4, her dad bought a box of 24 coloured pencils, 24 sharp stakes to stab her in the eyes. It was a dark moment in Azil's life. Over and over he had to whisper in her ear, "Be careful, baby. It's sharp. Keep it away from your eye or it might poke it." Thankfully, in a few weeks, Olive wised up. She tossed all her colouring pencils in the toilet and flushed them, and decided she wouldn't touch one again. Her father, Eddie, shouted at her for clogging the toilet. How dare he? Would he rather she be blind in one eye? Azil was so disturbed by the whole thing, he fainted forward with his arms out and unwittingly pushed Eddie to the ground, breaking his nose. Eddie's guard, the sloth who did nothing but spy on the neighbours, accused Azil of doing it on purpose because angels didn't lose consciousness. Well then, he tripped. "I didn't touch him," Azil said in his defence. "If he exercised more and ate healthy, instead of the junk he feeds his young daughter, he'd have enough core strength to not fall over because of a breeze."
You're a menace, and mark my word, you're going to kill someone one day because you're obsessed with that girl.
Salel retorted. "The neighbours are fighting again. You're late for your afternoon show," Azil said. Sharing the same living space with Zalel was torture that only angels with great mental fortitude could weather. He always criticised Azil for chewing his nails and sucking the air out of the room. What did that even mean? Angels didn't breathe. They only mimicked human physical responses, even though there was no biological reason for it. He couldn't use up oxygen, even if he was hyperventilating. Olive was an exceptional child. She liked raisins and broccoli and always ran away from strangers when Azil whispered to her without a second thought. Every night she brushed her teeth, twice and thrice, like he had taught her so they wouldn't rot and fall out. Her finger paintings were masterpieces of colour, and Azil burned each one into his memory even though he worried the paint would cause an allergic reaction. It was fine, he thought, since she washed her hands well after the art session and wouldn't rest until she removed the stubborn colours from her nail beds. Azil made sure of it. She was a special girl, but special came at a cost. First year of school, the principal met with Ed over Olive's pencil phobia, even though she made do with crayons. Miss Jackie was a stickler for rules, and Eddie was a pushover. He also had a crush on Miss Jackie and didn't hesitate to enroll Olive in a program she recommended. He didn't even consider sawing pencils in half as a solution. Olive outsmarted them both when she skewered a small teddy on the butt of her pencil as a cushion. Later, during recess, she used it to draw while she watched the other kids scrape their knees in the sandbox. They might as well be digging through the litter box, Azil whispered to her. While she wasn't able to hear his voice in her consciousness, the subliminal image still made her giggle. Azil chuckled too, until he glimpsed the dark-winged monster she drew. The darkling demon had arrived and set his gaze on her, and the proof was on paper, in graphite. Sharp lines, long arms, and scribbles for a face. That night, as Azil chewed his nails in the corner, he observed as Ed tucked Olive into her pink bed. The father brushed her brunette hair away from her face and poked her nose, like always, as he wished her sweet dreams. But when he got up to leave, she called after him,
"Daddy, don't go."
Standing at the doorstep, the stars from the nightlight dancing on his black shirt, Ed asked her,
"Why, little pie?"
"The monster is here."
Azil tensed. His fists tightened into clamps as he peeked left and right.
"Monsters wouldn't dare come near my little girl,"
her dad said.
"But he's always whispering in my ear."
The darkling demon got to her. Azil paced around the room, peeking inside the closet and behind the curtain over and over. All night, every night, as poor Olive hid under her blanket from the monster. She trembled. Azil wanted to find him, fight him, and banish him away, but demons are tricky and sneaky. The darkling demon was always one step ahead of Azil, and 1 inch closer to Olive's ear. He was hiding close to her. It was the only explanation. When Olive turned 27, she didn't leave her room for 3 weeks unless she was cleaning, washing up, or at work. Most other activities invited the darkness in. Her life was her job, and the bi-hourly pilgrimage to the bathroom. The skin of her arms was dry, red, and flaking, painful to wash and scrub, over and over again. In the mirror, her eyes hovered like orbs in darkness, and her cheeks caved in. Azil thought water and soap washed the evil away, so he encouraged her to stay clean. The demon fed on the contaminated crevices, lived in the ridges of her skin, in the dust, in the microbes. The demon was in the infectious touches of others and their remnants. He was everywhere, relentless, eternal. He could be silenced for a minute or 5, but he always came back louder. The monster was draining her. Sometimes Olive would cry from exhaustion, out of breath, looking down at her burning arms with the blurred blue tiles in the background. The demon had seeped into her brain. It was too late. No amount of bleach stripped away his claws. The demon was living inside Olive, haunting her mind and hiding within her organs. He was the anxiety that even Azil could feel, perhaps because Olive was connected to him. Anxiety that leaked into the atmosphere. It stung like an electric current and made the air thicker than breathing through plastic bags. "Breathe," Azil would tell Olive, fearing she'd forget how. She would bend over, drenched in sweat, clutching her heart and wheezing. "Ollie, breathe, breathe, or you'll suffocate." In showers, her hair fell out in clumps. The widening part annoyed her, and she complained about it to her dad on the phone.
"I'll be bald by 29.
She said as she hid under the bedsheet.
"Yes, I'm taking my vitamins.
Don't tell him, Azil whispered to her. You'll worry him over nothing. Honey, you're fine. I'm taking care of you.
Is everything okay?
She kneaded her eye, then rubbed and twisted her lips between her fingers. Ollie, I'm here, Azil repeated. If he thinks you're falling apart, he'll insist you move back, and then we'll be living with Zalel. Remember, up in your business, Zalel. She opened her mouth to speak, then clicked her tongue. Ollie, no.
I'm fine, Dad.
Azil let out a breath of relief, but he didn't miss the bullet. Less than 24 hours later, the doorbell rang as Olive ate her boiled noodles. The delivery man's instructions were to leave the packages on the doorstep, but when she didn't answer, the bell rang again.
It's me, Dad.
A muffled voice echoed outside. Olive sprang up, water sloshing out of the container and spilling on the once spotless white kitchen table. She flung the door open and jumped into his embrace. Despite the germs from the plane and the risk of infection, was she mad? She was offering a feast to the demon.
Hello?
Zalel said. He walked in as if it were his home and examined the sterile surroundings.
I see you're still in her head.
Making sure she's safe, of course. Zalel was short, even shorter than Azil when he first had the body of a teenage boy, so he stood on his toes to get closer to Azil's face and study it. After an awkward moment, he hummed. What? What's wrong?
Nothing.
No way, tell me.
Do you have a balcony?
She keeps it locked. Now, what was it?
Can you get her to unlock it? I enjoy standing in the fresh air.
If you want to spy on the neighbours, use your wings. Now what's wrong with my face?
Peppered hair, almost all grey near the sideburns. It used to be jet black 2 years ago.
So what?
I'm twice your age. Do you see a white strand?
Zalel pointed at his golden head.
It's not genetic for us. You're aging fast, and soon enough, you might be too weak to protect her.
I'm aging fine.
Just remember, you share the same life force. Whether she's wasting it or you are, you'll both suffer the consequences.
Azil gulped. Zalel was narrating the same concerns he had. It's the Darkling demon.
For the millionth time, there is no demon.
For the millionth and one time, yes, there is. Her mother's guard agreed with me.
He was my friend, but he had an illness, and you have it too. Your case is much worse than his ever was.
Again with the illness, Azil hissed. I bet you're on the demon's payroll.
Azil?
Okay, not that, but I don't have an illness. Just because you can't sense him, just because he didn't set his target on your ward, doesn't mean he's not coming after Ollie. Do you know how hard I have to fight to fend him off daily? I hardly ever sleep.
No, Azil, Olive never sleeps because you keep her awake with your incessant chatter. Whispers after whispers, fears after fears, delusions and compulsions, so much anxiety. Like our kind, you don't need sleep anyway. It's another mimicking act.
Azil's fists balled and his eyebrows furrowed. I despise your insinuation.
It's not an insinuation. I'm saying clearly that you're driving her mad.
Mad? Ollie is more sane than you'll ever be.
Perhaps, but you aren't.
Leave. Azil pointed at the door and stomped his foot. Out.
It's not up to me. The father wants to be here for his daughter. I won't leave his side.
I'll make you leave.
Because you want her all to yourself? So no one challenges the madness you're poisoning her mind with?
Zalel shouted the words at him as he marched over to the father. Azil put his arms around Ollie's shoulders, embracing her with his warmth as she smiled at her dad, and then purred in her ear. He'll put you in an institution where they will strip you of your free will. It will go on your record forever. Who knows if you'll have your job by the time you come out? No one wants an art teacher with a mental illness. You work with children. Everyone will judge you. You'll have to come out on first dates, and you'll never go on seconds. You'll be stigmatized just because you want to be safe. Dad is coming from a good place, but he'll destroy your life. He doesn't know what it's like for you. Fathers don't always understand.
Do you want more coffee?
She asked her dad. He shook his head.
You wanted to say something when we spoke earlier.
Nothing, Dad. I just wanted you to know I'm doing well.
Smile so he believes you, Azil told her. She grinned.
I'm in a great place. I've been painting more than ever.
Do you want to show me?
The paintings? They're not here. It gets too messy if I paint in here. It's only a one-bedroom. I keep them at a friend's studio.
He nodded.
I'm happy that you're doing well. You worried me sick for a minute there.
No need.
What about the
He searched for the word.
anxiety?
She shrugged, tucking her hair behind her ear, her long, flowy sleeves slipping down.
Manageable.
Look at her hands.
Salel said in Eddie's ear. Pull down your sleeves, Azil whispered to her, but he was a second too late. Eddie adjusted his posture.
Your eczema is acting up?
It's a reaction to a new hand cream I bought. I shouldn't shop for beauty supplies at the dollar store.
She lied and giggled.
Yeah, it might explain the hair loss too.
The father nodded.
She's falling apart. It's the stress.
Zalel whispered to him.
Maybe you should visit a doctor just in case. I'll come with you since I'm around for a week or two.
Eddie said. Azil chewed his lips and said to her, Why is he meddling in your life?
No need, Dad. I'm fine.
What's the harm? It's only a checkup.
Olive took a deep breath.
Fine.
You're an adult, Azil shouted, spittle flying. She rubbed her face and cracked her neck.
Actually, it's weird. I'm almost 30. You shouldn't be going to the doctor with me.
There is an age limit.
Eddie laughed. He's laughing. Once again, undermining your opinions and feelings as if you're still a child, Azil said.
Is it funny?
I'm just trying to help.
Well, you're not helping. Why didn't you tell me you're coming?
It's a surprise. I didn't know it'd upset you.
He wanted to catch you when you're not prepared, Azil explained to her.
And I was worried after our call.
Like always.
You're my daughter. It's my job to worry about you. Why are you getting defensive?
You're defensive. He's the one on the attack. Who's interrogating you? Azil rebutted. And meddling too. He's a meddler. A micromanager. Toxic. Absolutely toxic. Always doubting you and your sanity.
I can't have this conversation. Can you just go back home?
I just came from the airport.
I'll call you a car.
Okay, I see. You don't want me around.
Here comes the emotional manipulation. Stop him now or buckle your belt for the guilt trip, Azil said.
The car is arriving in 3 minutes.
She said and looked her father in the eye. After the sun disappeared into the west and the redness in the horizon turned into midnight blue, Olive lay in her bed, the noise of the neighbours moving furniture faint in the background. The curtains fluttered with the breeze, a crisp bite of autumn. A spiralling siren of an ambulance echoed outside the window. Close the window so you don't get pneumonia, Azil told her. He would have done it himself, but he was always careful not to startle her. Objects moving on their own were a good way to drive any human mad. Olive didn't budge. She shifted in bed and tossed the cover away. Are you hot? His hand hovered over her forehead as she sighed and twisted. Her face was sombre and downcast. Achy bones or joints? We should Google it. It could be serious. Sitting up, Olive adjusted the pillows behind her back and peered at her desk, where the laptop and phone were placed. Oh no, are you too tired to get it? Azil asked, starting to wheeze. This is serious. This is really serious. Olive sat on the edge of the bed, face in her hands, toes resting on her slippers. Out of the bedside drawer, she pulled a blister of migraine medication and popped 2 into her mouth. Take care, don't choke on them.
My head!
She groaned as she moved to her desk, lit up the screen and typed the symptoms into the search engine. One link led to another, in and out of rabbit holes. It was possible it was a migraine, or a rare brain virus that devastated 0.0001% of the population every year. Maybe the blanket is contaminated and you've been inhaling brain virus every night for 2 days. Why did we air dry? I told you it was an invitation for airborne pathogens and bedbugs. We should toss everything in the wash and use the toughest cycle. He scratched his neck. Are you itchy? We should check the mattress. Olive pulled the covers and stuffed them into the washing machine, then checked the edges of the mattress for bugs. One brown speckle tainted a corner, and while it could have been dust, it was also possibly evidence of a bedbug shell. Olive's neck was bright red with scratch marks as she began a new internet research project after Azil insisted they get to the bottom of it. The project was only interrupted twice, once to move the clean laundry to the dryer and again to make the bed. As she tucked in the last bit of loose fabric, Azil bent down and sniffed the fresh scent. I think you added too much detergent, or it didn't rinse well. The itch is getting worse. It must be an allergic reaction to the soap. Olive slid under the covers. Are you going to sleep in a cocoon of allergic dermatitis? Smell it, Olive. Smell it.
I can't!
Olive screamed, threw the blanket off and doubled over, heaving thick air. Oh no, the brain virus is ravaging the olfactory system.
I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. I'm tired.
Azil twisted left and right. The darkling demon was attacking again, and he had to stop him, to fend him off and save Olive. He was draining her. How could he stop a monster that was everywhere? A monster that couldn't be seen or heard or touched. The evil was an infection that couldn't be cured. You've drained her dry. Find someone else. She can't take it anymore.
I can't take it anymore,
She wailed, her voice gruff as if it were tearing her lungs. The world swung around Azil, his wings shedding all their feathers at once, like a storm. He was losing the battle to the evil force, so he screamed at the walls. It's enough! Leave her alone! Azil was a companion, nothing more. He couldn't change her fate. The best he could do was pray. He wrapped his arms around the girl. His wings surrounded her, bare and hollow, and he begged, help her, please. Protect her from evil, from the whispers of the demons, from the poison of the mind. This world is too difficult for her. She can't tolerate it.
I can't breathe.
Beyond the intertwined net of the wing's bones, in the dresser's mirror, Azil saw their reflection. He was hugging her, his arms tight around her chest and neck. Her lips were parted as she strained for breath. He was suffocating her. He released his grip and crawled away from her, still ogling at his mirrored image. A demon. He was looking at a demon. The graphite monster she once drew. It was him. Ollie just didn't have coloured pencils to fill in the blue eye or the brown hair. Call your dad, Ollie, he stuttered, then repeated once again, clear and loud. Call your dad now, Ollie. Please.